Please help me give a warm welcome to Liv Lane.
Thank you so much. It is such a delight to be here. I'm embarrassed to say I haven't been here before. I don't know what's taken me so long. But thank you so much for inviting me into this sacred space. I'm so glad that I get to spend the next hour with you. So Gary told me that the theme of the month is follow your heart. And even in my bio, I use those words. So I was like, yes, I got this one. But then I started thinking about it. What do I want to say to you about following your heart? And what does that even mean? Because it's sort of become a cliche, right? Like, just follow your heart. Do what you love, and everything will turn out great. And it's hard to know, what do you do next? And how do you know if you're really following your heart? I have clients tell me all the time, well, I swear I followed my heart, but nothing's happening. And so that's what I want to talk to you about today, is looking back at my journey when I knew that I was following my heart, not only because magnificent things happened, but also because of some commonalities that I've noticed. I've done a really poor job of following my heart at times too, and I learned from those experiences as well. But so I wrote some notes yesterday about what are the similar things that, the components to knowing that I'm following my heart. So here, I've got 4 of them for you, okay? When I'm following my heart, I have unwavering confidence about which direction I want to go. When I'm following my heart, there's palpable momentum that propels me into inspired action. When I'm following my heart, I can feel the eventual outcome, and it raises my vibration. And when I'm following my heart, my ego steps aside so I can let go of the details and allow for the best possible outcome. So that all sounds very nice, right? We would all like to do that. So I thought, how am I going to illustrate to you how I've done that? It's all interwoven. They all work together. But I thought what I'd do is share a little bit of my story, my journey, to show you how those things have come to fruition, how they played a role in what got me from where I was to where I am now. So the first one, having unwavering confidence about which direction I want to go. That is how I felt when I was about to graduate from high school. I loved communications. I wanted to be Oprah. And I did not want to go to college. I grew up with 2 parents who were very highly educated and had nothing but college in their sights as my future after high school. So I'm sure that, it was a little bit of an earthquake for them when I announced, I don't really want to go. Not just I don't want to go, but I know deep down that I'm supposed to be doing something different than that. That I am supposed to be doing something in the real world connected to communications. I don't know what it is yet, but I know it. I can feel it. And they, to their credit, my mom's actually in the audience, so sweet that she's still supporting me. To their credit, they came up with a plan and said, and I'm sure they thought, this will never work. So let's just give this to her. Spend the summer trying to look for this magical opportunity, and it has to be related to communications, and it has to be like quality, and it has to pay you something, and if you can find all of those things, then we'll consider delaying school. I had agreed to go to St. Olaf in Northfield, but I don't even recall ever even going shopping for anything for a dorm room. It just never crossed my mind that that would wind up being the end result. And I went through that whole summer working as a telemarketer, but knowing it was not my destiny, that I was going to find whatever it was that I was being led to and was being led to me. And a couple of weeks before I was to go to St. Olaf, I'm walking down the street in Uptown, and I see a high school friend sitting outside at a cafe with a girl, and he waves me over, and we start talking, and she says that she's been working at Radio Oz. I don't know if any of you remember that kids' radio network based in St. Louis Park, and that she's going to Georgetown, and so she has to leave that job, but it's been such a fun summer job. Hello! Is there anybody in that job right now? She says, no, I think they're looking for somebody. So I right away pull together the resume of a high schooler and showcase all of my communications expertise. And I get an interview, and I get the job, and I call the roommate that is awaiting me 2 weeks from that point at St. Olaf and say, I'm not coming to college. And that job started as a news writing job in the morning for a few hours. And within a few months, I was on this national morning show, became a co-host, worked there for almost 5 years, interviewing celebrities, traveling to cover things. It was the most amazing real-world experience in communications I could have ever imagined for myself. In fact, I thought, oh my gosh, I've reached my peak, and I'm only 20. Like, how could anything ever get better than this? I also met my husband there. I mean, everything came together for me in that opportunity, and I was so grateful that that unwavering confidence had stuck with me, that I hadn't let it go, that I hadn't let anybody who said, you might need the degree, why don't you go for that? I was so grateful that my parents gave me an opening to make that magic happen in my life. So unwavering confidence. Then the palpable momentum that propels you into inspired action. So I didn't stay at Radio Oz forever. It went away. Thank you to Radio Disney. They had a little falling out. I lost my job, my peak job, my dream job. My life was over until a new opportunity came into play. I started working at General Mills in their public relations department. This was not my dream job, but it was a great experience in communications. And I will tell you that when I left there almost 10 years later, the HR person said, looking at my resume, you don't have a degree. How did you get in here? I was like, well, I have some special angels and a lot of magic working. So while I was at General Mills, doing PR for cereal and fruit roll-ups and stuff like that, I was feeling a little lackluster in my soul. Felt like the arteries in my heart, the spiritual arteries, were getting clogged up. And I wanted to find something else, but wasn't sure what that something else might be. Until I heard my boss say that they were starting a new division all around innovation. They didn't even know what it meant, like what it was going to look like. But if anybody was interested in sort of helping them shape what this might look like, then just, raise your hand, let her know. And that was, whoa, the momentum that I needed. Something in that said to me, that might be the door that I need to open. So I set up lunch with her, and I said, not my spiritual arteries are clogged, but something along those lines that was socially acceptable at General Mills. And that I would really relish having a new opportunity. And innovation sounded really good, And also, by the way, I kind of missed radio, so just in case there's anything with radio, don't forget that I'm here. And so she took that to her boss, and they came back and said, all right, if you have some ideas around radio, let us know what they are. And I could just feel the momentum rising up in me, thinking, oh my gosh, here's one of those moments where I can rise to the occasion. And the ideas just kept flowing on paper, and I was coming up with different ideas, pitches, presentations for things that they could do. So I put a lot of energy into it. And then I let it go. I sent it to them and just waited. Decided not to be desperate about it, not to keep knocking on the door and saying, have you read it? Have you read it? And I almost forgot about it, thinking, well, I guess nothing's going to happen with that. It was months later, that I got an email from the chief marketing officer saying, hey, I finally read that thing about radio, all those ideas, and this one. I'm interested in that one. And I'd like you to do a test of it. A test of it? What does that mean? So I had to figure out how to do a test of it, get all the pieces together and the people that I needed to do it. And I had such fun pulling it together and could feel that energy rising again. The test worked. And they said, why don't you start a company? We'll give you the resources you need to start a company. What? And so that is what I did. A few months later, I was sitting in a high-rise downtown looking out my giant window thinking, holy moly, what is happening? I'm running a company for this, bazillion-dollar corporation, and it was only me. I had no employees yet. Hadn't even figured out who to hire. And so, all the energy of that, the momentum, continuing to follow that was really a piece of following my heart. And I did that for another few years. Another amazing experience, being able to put that together, being able to connect to my radio roots, and I was working with hundreds of radio stations across the country and then had a team of radio people, and it was fantastic until my spiritual arteries started to get clogged again. And I was doing a lot of spreadsheets in the middle of the night and managing, a multi-million-dollar budget and thinking, eek, was this what I was envisioning when I was in that great momentum, that great energy? No, I wasn't envisioning that. I got to do the work that I wanted to do, but I started to think, I'm not quite sure this is where I wanted it to take me. I think I'm ready to give up the reins and try something new. So that brings me to feeling the outcome and raising my vibration in that. I started to think, how do I want to feel again? Because now I'm kind of back in that, stuck in the muck, lots of pressure, feeling stressed, feeling like I'm not making much of a difference, not using my gifts in a way that really feels like they're of service to others and service to me. And so I started to envision, how do I want to feel? And this is where we get tripped up, I think, a lot, especially around intention. When we're setting our intentions, we often will think of the specific thing we want instead of the way we want to feel. And they're light years apart. Because when we focus on the specific thing that we want and how we want it to manifest, we don't allow for the universe to give us more than we could possibly imagine. We don't allow for magic and serendipity and synchronicity to take place. And we stunt our own growth by thinking we know exactly what we need, exactly how we think it's supposed to happen. We may have an idea of where we want to go, and at that point, I realized even though I'm working with radio stations, I'm missing doing the radio. I'm missing creating programming. I'm missing being able to think about content that helps others and lifts me up. And so I started to imagine what something like that might feel like. And I put together, just on my own, not knowing what I would do with it, I started putting together the idea for a show. And I thought, oh, it would be awesome to be able to interview all the people that I read, whose books I read. It'd be so great to play all the music that I love. It'd be super cool if I could spend every week with some other women that lift me up and raise up other people. So I put this all in this proposal for me. And I even put a theme song in there. And the theme song at that time was by a new band, a new country band called Sugarland, and it was called There's Gotta Be Something More. There's gotta be something more, gotta be more than this. I need a little less heartache, I need a little more bliss. That's what the lyrics were, and that's what I needed. So I was really making a radio show for myself, which is what I did when I was a kid. I would just press record and do a radio show, and then press play and just listen to it. So I could have been content just doing that, except that I wouldn't have the other friends, and I don't know, it might have felt a little, my family probably would have institutionalized me. But, so I had this idea, and then, I started to feel the momentum of it that I just talked about. The energy rising, feeling like, wait a second, this actually sounds like kind of a cool idea. Like, this sounds like a show I'd like to listen to, even if I weren't on it. And so I started to put out some feelers, not wanting my people at General Mills to know that I was even thinking about doing a show and potentially leaving. Because I was thinking, like, if I do this show, like, I'm gone. Like, even if it's an hour a week, that shall replace everything else that I'm doing. That's how excited I was about it. Well, I got a meeting with a program director in town. So exciting. Printed out the proposal. Like, it was, that day I knew was going to change my life. I just thought, well, of course this has all come together. She's going to love it. She's going to say, for sure, let's make it a show, which does not happen in radio, I'll have you know. It takes, to get a show on a station, it takes a lot of doing, often a lot of money. A lot of pieces have to come together. And so even when you have an idea for a show, it can take years. So I drive over to the radio station and go in with my briefcase, holding my pitch, and she's not there. Nobody knows where she is. And it was such a blow. Like, oh my gosh, what an idiot. I thought today was gonna change my life. I thought she was gonna say yes, and I knew all the ways it was going to manifest, and I was gonna walk in and quit my job. Now I gotta go back tomorrow. So I pulled over. I don't even know where I was. I still have yet to figure it out. But I found a parking lot of some abandoned, warehouse-y building, and sat there in my car, first having these "you're such an idiot" feelings, and then remembering, wait a second, I gotta feel this. I gotta remember how I want to feel in this. Do I want to feel like an idiot? Nope. Do I want to feel like things are working out? Like I am so excited about this opportunity still. Like I am open to whatever is to be and however it is supposed to come to me. Yeah, that feels a lot better. And so I got into that space, and I drove back to General Mills headquarters. My office was not there. I'm not even sure why I drove over to headquarters. And that place is like a college. I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but thousands of people work there. And so seeing somebody that you work with when you walk in the door is actually kind of rare. But I walk in, and there's my boss. And he says, "Hey, do you have a second?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have all afternoon because I was going to quit my job." But I didn't say that. He says, "Do you have a second? Because there's a meeting upstairs, and I'd love for you to come. It's a brainstorming meeting. I'd like for you to hear about it." So I say, "Yep, sure." So I follow him up there, and it's a brainstorming session for a major national chain of fitness centers. And the owners, the president is there, and they want to create a product line. And they say, here's what we want it to feel like. And the words and the phrases they start using are the same ones that are in my pitch. And they're not words that you normally hear in a brainstorming session, you know, things like authenticity and soul and spirit. These are not usually connected to Honey Nut Cheerios. I love Honey Nut Cheerios, I do, but those are not typically the words that come up in the planning sessions. And so I feel like I gave nothing to that brainstorming session because I was sitting there thinking, what's happening here? Why are these words coming up that are in this pitch that are sitting in my briefcase? How weird. The meeting ends, and I go down the elevator with my boss, and we're alone in the elevator. Also, a very rare thing to happen in a building that has thousands of people. He's already forgotten the meeting that has just happened and says, "Hey, last night I was watching TV and I saw Bon Jovi." Side note, a little bit of a Bon Jovi fan. Little bit meaning large. And it's a little embarrassing. And so he says, "I saw Bon Jovi on TV and they were doing this concert. It was really cool with a country band called Sugarland." And I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." And they sang this great song, and he started to sing the theme song to my radio show in the elevator at General Mills. And I said, "I think I have something to show you." We walked to his office, me thinking, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Why would he ever want to see this? But I know I have to show it to him because I know, universe, you're sending me tons and tons of signs like, right there, here you go. So I pull out the presentation and I say, "Earlier today, I was going to present this to a radio station and it didn't work out. And so I feel like I'm supposed to give it to you." And he looks through it, and he sees words like soul and spirit and authenticity. And he says, "Is this religious?" I said, "No." And he goes, "I think we should sponsor it." What? Within a couple of months, that radio show was on the air. And with me as one of the hosts, it was called Get Real. Some of you might have heard it. We had a 5-year run that was spectacular. Spectacular for me. And it got good ratings too, so that was fun. But interviewing so many of the people that we admired, learned from, I grew as a person through it. It was a wonderful experience, and never ever would I have thought it would get off the ground because of a corporate sponsorship, or that the corporation that sponsored it would be the one that I worked for. So there you go, right? we allow ourselves to just let it go and see what happens. Feeling how we want to feel, letting it raise our vibration so that we can meet the vibration of the universe and allow for magic to happen. So that brings me to the fourth thing, the ego. The ego stepping aside so that we can let go of the details, allow for the best possible outcome. So that was a pretty good example of it. But I really have felt in the past several years like that has been part of my work in stepping away from ego and just letting the pieces fall, letting the universe show me where I'm supposed to go. I have had crazy strong intuition my whole life. As a child, I saw angels and spirits. I would do concerts for them on the picnic table. I would fly up and down my block until several kids looked at me like I was crazy. And I started to get the message. Even though I had a parent, a mom, who was into, Shirley MacLaine and Shakti Gawain, even having that, I knew not everybody sees this stuff. Not everybody is aware of what's happening with me. And so I learned to kind of shut it down, put it in a nice little jar, access it when I needed it, all along using my intuition throughout my career, but just not giving it that name, just not allowing myself to really fully step into that. And then I started to do readings on the side for friends who knew something was weird about me. Why do you say that stuff? How do you know what I'm going to say? And their loved ones would start coming through. And that was a delight. It was an honor to be able to help people that I cared about in that way. But I still wanted to keep it, on the down low. I just was so worried. My ego was so worried that people would think I was crazy, that it would feel unreal to many of the people in my life. And then in 2011, felt like everything fell apart. Everything felt misaligned. I had a book deal. 2 weeks before it was to come out, the publishing company shut down. Get Real got canceled that year. My youngest son was diagnosed with special needs, and so we started that journey that felt really hard at that time. We were facing big debt because I had left General Mills and the subsidiary that I was running to do the radio show and also do consulting and stuff, but I was trying to form fit my consulting to match the PR that I had done and the communications and stuff, and just, once again, keeping the intuition stuff under wraps. And I kept hitting walls. Stuff kept not working. Clients would disappear for no reason. And then my dad died in the fall of 2011, and he was just a shining bright light in my life, and still is. He would like everyone to know. But just a really magnificent personality who touched a lot of lives. And it was such a blow. But after he left the earth plane and came back as spirit, I knew, oh, holy smokes, I'm going to have to dive in here. Like, he was so loud in spirit, encouraging me to move forward, to move deeper into this. And then more and more and more stuff started happening and people coming forward, where it just got to a point where it was like, okay, I surrender. I've got to let my ego out of it and say, whomever believes is going to be attracted to the work. Whoever does not, I don't need them. Because I can't serve them, they will find what they need, and I have to trust that. And I have to trust that I've been given the abilities that I have, that I get the messages I receive for a reason. That it's really a disservice to me and to so many others if I just keep it in a jar and keep it hidden. So that has been my journey over the past couple of years, doing, moving forward, stepping forward into this work, doing intuitive sessions, and seeing how magic has happened. Suddenly there aren't any more roadblocks. Lake Harriet Spiritual Community calls and says, "Would you like to come speak?" And it's like that for me. It's a beautiful experience when you let that go and just feel like, all right, let me know what's next. I'm ready. I'm willing. And I want to feel delighted in it. And I want to step into that palpable momentum and raise my vibration. One of the things that happened in October has also been super transformative for me and others. So I've often heard sort of individual spirits and angels. And in October, I was taking a shower, and boom, there was this loud, collective voice, too hard to ignore, that said they would like to speak with me, and would I please dictate their notes. So I literally got out of the shower, and I'm totally wet, and I just go into my bedroom. I'm like, okay, what do you have for me? And they said, we would like for you to receive and transcribe messages for 18 days leading up to the solstice. It was very specific. And I was freaking out. And I called my husband, and I'm like, you're not gonna believe what happened. At this point, he pretty much believes anything that happens. But I'm like, this collective voice who said they want to be called Spirit just contacted me. And he's in his office. I'm sure, okay, well, good. I hope that goes well. But I knew I had to do it. I knew I had to honor their request. You don't get that specific of a request. 18 days, they, said that they knew all of the people that would come to it, and how to do it. And so I put it on. I have a blog, and I put it on the blog and just said, okay. For some of you, this might sound a little crazy, but once again, doing my best to step out of ego and say, this just happened, and if you want to be part of it, then sign up. And it was such an amazing experience in December to receive these messages. It took hours each day because they wanted to be so specific. And we would edit together because they were using some stories and awareness that I have in my life to illustrate points for others. And my life just everything else kind of parted to give me the space to do this. And the changes that happened in so many of the lives of people who took part in it was just a confirmation for me that by following my heart, I was able to touch other hearts with this message. So it's been quite the journey. And I know more than ever that following my heart is what I need to do and what I need to speak to others about. because it's a powerful thing. And when you follow your most pure and joyful heart, other people want to follow your heart in order to find their own, path and be able to be a light in the world. I know that we've got an offering, and there's some good music to listen to. I thought I would share with you during the circle time a message that Spirit encouraged me to share with you that came from Into the Light, which is what the experience in December was called. And if you want the transcripts, you can find it on my website at livelane.com. But I will share that with you. It'll be my honor as part of our way to close this session today. So thank you so much for having me. What I'm going to share with you is a message that came through from Spirit, and they encouraged me to share it with you today. And there will be a song at the end. You may want to just stay holding hands at the end of it. Please know, beloveds, that the more light-filled choices you make in your life there, the clearer your path becomes. When you embody the light and trust in all that is good, you become unstuck, as you say. You work through your lessons more rapidly and with greater ease, so that you can expand much of your divine light energy to impact others, to help them, directly or indirectly, live in the light as well. At this state of heightened vibration, you become a more effective co-conspirator in your earthly life. You are acutely aware of the ways joy, love, stability, and communion with your tribes help to maintain a rested heart, sustain your enlightenment, and advance your soul's evolution. This is why, when your energy flows from the heart of trust, your heightened vibrations allow you to manifest that which you desire in ways your mind could not even imagine. We want this for you, all of you, more than you could ever know. The things you know would bring you pleasure and provide for a rested heart are waiting for you, waiting to be invited in when you are ready to receive them with complete trust and as beautiful reflections of your worth, the crystal clear light of your spirit. May we all go into this day following our hearts, feeling confident, inspired, fulfilled, and capable of allowing the light to find us, to give us what we need, to lead us where we are needed. Let it be.